So when it comes to cigar humidors, everybody needs one. You go with a wooden desktop? Do you go with a glass cabinet? Do you go with a converted wine fridge? What is the best one for you? Well, I've got the NEEDONE 23-liter 150 count cigar humidor, and I'm going to walk you through my setup process, give you my thoughts on it, and well, let you know why I think you need one. Okay, so I'm sitting here next to the humidor, and let's go through a little bit about the setup process, what is inside, a couple of the features of it, and then go from there. So if we look here, we've obviously got this glass mirrored door, or door with mirrored finish. You can see the current temperature reading right there. You can see there's temperature up, temperature down, and then a light. There's the light. When I push it on, you can see right there, there's a light. I'll talk more about the light when I get to my thoughts and reviews in a minute, or thoughts on the unit in just a minute here though. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off for now. So when it comes to the unit, let me open it up again. There is there are two Spanish cedar trays to hold your cigars, one up here and then one down on the bottom. They all slide out and back in with the grooves. But with this bottom one here, if I take it out, then there are two options for putting it in. You can put it in down here, or you can slide it into the next one up. And I'm gonna set mine in on the next one up because it's gonna give me flexibility underneath it for some of the seasoning that needs to take place. If you look, I've already put the batteries in, but it comes with a digital hygrometer. So if you look here, you can see the digital hygrometer, and you can see that it's reading currently at 64% relative humidity. I put the batteries in. I don't have any humidification in here already. That's where it's currently sitting at, but I'm gonna slide this in. Slide it in right there. And then middle tray slides out as well. So I'm gonna close this door, and then let's go through a little bit of the seasoning process. So in the user manual that it comes with, it's got a bunch of information. It talks about setup of the digital hygrometer, the drawer, all those different things. For the batteries, they're two little coin batteries. They're little bitty ones. And they go in, you slide the back open, it sort of flaps open, put the two batteries in, positive side up, close it, slide it back closed, and it goes right back into the drawer. It pops right out of the rectangle that's cut out for it. So when it comes to getting it ready, it does say that there may be a factory odor removal process needed when this arrives to you. So when it arrives, it recommends that if you do need to go through the factory odor removal, then what you do is you take a mild detergent and warm water and you just clean the inside. Don't wet down the shelves, don't wipe those down, don't get them wet at all. And then leave the door open and let it dry completely. And if it still smells a little bit like plastic, then they recommend putting a dish of baking soda in the fridge or some newspaper, close it back up, and leave it that way overnight. After completing that, then you're good to continue on to the next process, which is setting up the door and seasoning it. So when it comes to seasoning it, what it does is it comes with this little tray, and I've already filled it up with distilled water. Only use distilled water in your humidor. Don't use tap water. Don't use anything else. Don't wipe down the wood parts of it. It causes the wood to swell too quickly, and it can cause a whole lot of problems. So follow the directions that they have in here and fill up this little tray with the distilled water and place it in the humidor. So I'm going to open the door back up, and I'm going to slide this right down here in the bottom, which is why I moved this bottom drawer to where it is currently. And then you close it, and it recommends you leaving the door closed without opening it for 3 days. The more you open it and go, oh, I want to check on it, the more you're going to lengthen the time of seasoning this humidor. Really, all that needs to season in it are the 3 wooden shelves and drawers. So it's not going to take a whole lot of time. If you look at other humidors, it'll take you a week or longer to season it. This is just 3 days is what it recommends using the distilled water. And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to let this sit now for the next 3 days and go through that whole process. But what I wanted to do was go through a little bit more information on cleaning and maintenance of this. So there is on the back, like you get with a regular refrigerator, there's sort of a mesh screen that protects the fan. Every 3 months, they recommend going through and cleaning that mesh screen off, or the filter for the fan. They recommend doing that, and then every 3 months after that, you know, from each time you clean it, to go back through and clean that screen off. If it gets cluttered with dust, with dirt, things like that, it's going to make the fan work a lot harder. It's going to make this thermidor inefficient as far as circulating the air, keeping it cool, all those different things. So you want to make sure the back little mesh filter is cleaned at all times. And then as far as cigar storage guidance, what it recommends is keeping this, well, it has an operability range for temperature of 64 to 74 degrees. As you can see, mine's currently at 66 degrees, which is where I set it. And then the relative humidity, it recommends keeping your cigars between 55 and 65% relative humidity. That's a little bit low from what most people will say. They'll go with the 70-70 rule. I tend to keep my cigars, or my humidors I should say, at about 68% relative humidity. That's where I set everything up. I use, with the humidification packs, I actually use the 67% packs from Integra Boost. Everybody knows I love Integra Boost. It's what I use in everything. So I use their humidification systems in all of my humidors. But it recommends keeping them in that range. Yes, if you have Cubans, you can go on the lower end. I can understand that. But as a general rule of thumb, I would go, it says 65. I would honestly go 65 to 70. Depending on what temperature you want to keep this at. You want to make sure that you don't get the temperature too high, you know, if you have a power outage, whatever it may be, because if your humidity is too high, you could start to hatch cigar beetles or tobacco beetles. You could have a mold bloom start, a lot of different things. So make sure you're checking in on this, you know, every once in a while. And if you're enjoying cigars, you should be checking on this very frequently anyways. But it does say water should be replaced when the tray does get low. Or if you notice that there's a dip in the humidity in your humidor here. They do give a disclaimer though. It says it is recommended recommended to keep the cigars in their original boxes and packaging for as long as possible. They also say that because if you've got maybe flavor infused cigars or different things like that, that you don't want to mix them up, which is absolutely correct. I recommend keep them in a completely separate humidor personally, that we don't risk with the air circulation any of that crossover taking place. And then it does say in here, check cigars regularly for signs of tobacco beetles and mold and take precautions that are necessary. They put that in there as basically a disclaimer. They don't want you to go back to them and say, hey, I used it and X happened and now I've got, you know, mold and I lost, you know, $1,000 worth of cigars, whatever the case may be. So that's really in there as just sort of a precautionary thing. But I'm going to now let this sit for 3 days like it recommends in the manual. And I'm going to let the wood soak up the humidity that it needs. It was at 64, I think. We're at 66% in there right now. I'm still going to let it sit for at least another day to make sure that it normalizes, that it balances out with the humidity that it needs to be at with that target. I'm going to keep mine, like I said, so that reads at 68% relative humidity. And then I'm going to start adding in the cigars. So what you're going to see next is me adding in the cigars and going through that process. It'll be B-roll. I'll talk over it, but let's go to that now. Okay, so as you can see here, my humidor is now sitting at 68% relative humidity. I will admit, after only 24 hours of having my humidor with the distilled water in it, it jumped up to 80% relative humidity. So what I did is I pulled the distilled water out and I put in one of the 420 gram 72% relative humidity packs from Integra Boost, and that is what I left in for the duration of the time. What I'm doing here is I'm just getting everything ready to load up with cigars and see if it can hold the 150 cigars that it claims to hold. So here, as you can see, it's sort of a time lapse of me getting the shelves loaded, doing different things like that, and getting everything set up and ready to go to see if it will hold the 150 cigars as it claims. So as I'm loading up the humidor, I'm going through, on the top shelf, I ended up putting 25 cigars on because that was what would comfortably sit on there without them rolling off. I do wish that it was more of a tray like the bottom tray is, that had some sort of a stop or at least a little bit of a ridge on each of the sides, but it didn't, and that's okay. So I got 25 cigars on the top shelf, I got 25 cigars on the middle shelf, and then in that tray I was able to fit 50 cigars. So combine all of that, you're at 100 cigars. And with the 2 boxes of cigars that I put on the bottom, both of them being 20 count cigars, that took it to 140, and then I put in a few other cigars here and there and got it up to the 150 count, and then put in the Integra Boost 420 gram 72% pack that was in there for the last day and a half as it was seasoning, and got everything loaded up. So it does hold 150 cigars, and I used everything from Robustos to Toros to Churchills to Salomons to all sorts of different Vitolas, because I wanted to make sure it was just like any regular cigar enthusiast wanting to fit 150 cigars into this humidor. It is very full with the 150 cigars, but they do fit in there. So as I finish loading the last couple things in, you can see that I get the trays in. A couple of the boxes, if they're a little bit larger, actually don't fit inside the humidor. So what I ended up taking was a little bit of a smaller cigar box that holds 20 cigars. It's 20 Robustos, and then another box that holds 20 Robustos as well, and use those as the 2 boxes in there, and made it fit up to the 150 count. And it does very well. It holds all of the cigars. Yes, is it jam-packed tight? It absolutely is. But let me go through some of the pros and cons of this NEEDONE 23 liter or 150 count humidor. Pro number 1 is it is cooling and heating. That is a huge plus. So if you have it like I do here in my studio, I've got an AC for during the summertime, but during the winter time, I usually bring in a little portable heater to put in to keep the temperature balanced where it needs to be. The nice thing is this here is going to be able to maintain temperature completely where I set it. So whether it needs to cool it down to get to the 67 degrees, or whether I need to have the heater kick on because it's getting too cool in my studio, then it will keep it right there at the 67 degrees. That is a huge pro, a big perk of this NEEDONE humidor. Another pro that I really enjoy about this is the flexibility with the shelves and the trays. There are other humidors that are out there that don't allow you to adjust the trays, and it doesn't have the width on the bottom to be able to slide and adjust the shelf and do some different things for some flexibility based on what you want to put inside this humidor. I really enjoy that this does that. A couple of things that I wish were done differently, or some improvements for the future, is I wish it had a lock. Even though this is my studio and it's my man cave, my area, not everybody has the same setup that I do, and you're going to want to be able to make sure that you're keeping your cigars locked up. Not that your kids are going to get into them, but it's just a matter of security and just an extra peace of mind, comfort kind of thing. Another thing that I wish or could be room for improvement is the lights. I mentioned at the very beginning when I was getting it all set up to do the seasoning process that I was going to touch on the light. The light, as you could see in the video, is only at the top of the humidor on the inside. I wish that it had lights around the side built into it like the one on the top is, but just a couple, one on either side of the humidor where each of the tray slots go, because then it gives you visibility when you open up the humidor and turn on the light, or just turn it on to look inside and see if that's the cigars you want to be pulling out. It gives you the opportunity to see what you have in there. The light on the top, yeah, it lights it up a little bit and gives you a bit of an effect, but it really only gives you visibility of what is on the top tray within this humidor. And then the smoked finish, or the sort of tinted finish glass, is really elegant, really classy looking. I like it, but it is very, very easy to see fingerprints when you open the door, when you close it, whenever you're touching this unit. It makes it very easy to see, and so wiping it down with a microfiber isn't a hard thing to do, but fingerprints do show up very easily. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this is no matter what I did with the humidification system after I had the distilled water, take it up to 80, pulled that out for a little bit, and then threw in the Integra Boost, is it stayed rock solid. So the seal on this is a very good tight seal, and once you close it, it's not like it vacuum seals it, but it is an airtight container to hold all of your cigars, which is a very good thing, and I really enjoy that. And it's not one of those things where it's just gonna fly open or pop open real easily. So that I really enjoy. It's got a very good seal on it, and it maintains the humidity very well. So that's a little bit about this NEEDONE 150 count humidor. And another big pro, is I used various vitolas or sizes of cigars to see if it would get to the 150 capacity as it claims. And as I've mentioned a couple different times, it absolutely does. That again is a big perk, because usually when you get a humidor, oh, it's rated for, 75 cigars. You're lucky to fit 50 to 60 cigars in it. This claims what it can hold, and it actually does give you the ability to hold all of those cigars, even with a couple boxes in there. And this is flexible, so if you have mostly cigar boxes you want to put in there, pull out the trays, put in a different digital hygrometer, or pop it out of the tray that it comes in, set it in there, and let your cigar boxes sit in there and age your cigars and make sure that they're taken care of in a well humidified and temperature controlled environment. So I want to thank NEEDONE for reaching out and asking me to check out this unit to give my honest take of it. And I have really enjoyed the setup process, how easy it was to use, how easy it was to set up, and to store my cigars for years to come. So thank you, NEEDONE, for doing that. But one additional thing that they've done is they want to give all of you, my viewers and subscribers, an opportunity to get one of these units yourself on Amazon with a 10% discount. So down below in the description here is the discount code to use. It is a limited time only. It is only good until August 15th. So you've got basically a week to use that discount code. So jump on it. If you're looking for something and you're just, getting started into cigars and you want to grow your collection, and you're thinking, okay, something larger than this that they offer. They do have one that holds 300 cigars, but maybe you don't want something that large to start out because you don't have that large of a collection. This is a perfect option for you to get. And again, it does heating and cooling, which is a huge perk. Many other systems or brands that, make these humidors, they only do cooling. And only a couple of them have started to come out with the cooling and heating, and this one has it. So again, the discount code is there in the description. It's good until August 15th. Please go and pick one up for yourself if you think this is the humidor for you. I hope I've helped educate you a little bit more about how this NEEDONE humidor works, how to set it up, and how really easy it is to get it going so that you can make sure that your cigar collection is taken care of in an environment that it absolutely is going to benefit aging and storing all of your cigars. So that's going to do it for my review of the NEEDONE 150 count 23 liter humidor. I encourage you to go and check it out. Remember, the discount code is there. Take advantage of it while you can get that 10% discount. You won't be disappointed. So that's going to do it for it, but enjoy your cigar journey. I'm Cigar Show Tim. As always, I'll see you.